like as well. So Sunday Night Baseball happened, and Ohtani had his first outing of the season. He was the first pitcher since I was like 1908 or something like that to start pitching a game and then bat second as well. So flashback to the first inning, Combs. He was wild. You could definitely tell he was very, very hyped to be out on the mound. However, he did hit a 101 mile an hour fastball a couple times in that first inning, but he got through that first inning and then he came up to like bat and then hit probably the longest home run so far of this very young season.
It sounded like a bomb exploded.
It
off
did,
of his bat.
Yeah, it was like a gunshot. It literally was. I was on the show, and I have games playing while we're on the show, but I have it at volume 1 to where you can't hear it. And I am sitting here, and it goes, and it was so loud that I immediately was drawn to the TV to see what just happened because I thought somebody just shot up that ballpark or something. Because that was the loudest bat crack I have ever heard in my entire life. It was insane. 450 feet. He belted that thing. Exit velocity of like 115, I think.
Yeah.
He belted that thing.
He now has the fastest pitch in the major leagues this season and the fastest exit velocity on a home run ball this season.
Second. So Nelson Cruz, like the Twins, hit one like 116 or 117 miles an hour out. But so not to get too sidetracked here, guys, but like I've watched a lot of baseball. I mean, not as much as Combs in the last week or so. I feel like the bats cracked are a lot louder. Do you think they got like some type of mics like on home plate to like give us that like that kind of?
I mean, they've always had the mics on home plate. They've gotten everything where the sounds of the game are really brought to you. But I think it gets amplified because of the lack of people in the stands.
So it's more echoey, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that gave it a little bit more of an oomph, but he crushed that ball.
100%. And I also kind of like the little bat, like the slight black bat flip that he did as well.
Yeah.
But going back to like his game of this roller coaster of a game, he was wild. He hit a home run, and then he found his tune. So, like I think he struck out about 8 guys, and then he walked just as many. But I believe it was the 5th inning, Combs. He got into a little bit of trouble there. Walked a few guys, had a few guys on second and third with like 2 outs, and then he struck his final batter out, but it was a wild pitch, and then those of you that don't know baseball rules, if you drop a third strike, you are able to advance to first base if it's not occupied under 2 outs, and if it is 2 outs, you can still attempt to go. But he got taken out at home plate by it was Abreu, right? Like Abreu took him out at his ankles. I mean, like first things first, it was not a dirty play whatsoever. It was a baseball play. He was sliding in, and Ohtani kind of jumped for the ball. First of all, I think White has a bigger vertical than like he does. He got like 8 inches off the ground, if that. So I want to ask you this question, guys. Did Madden mess up by not taking Ohtani out of this game earlier and putting him in that position? Coleman, I'm going to kick it to you first.
Why you keep calling it? It's Ohtani.
Ohtani.
No extra T. Ohtani.
That's what I said.
Ohtani. No, you keep calling. You keep trying to put the Indian name on him. Otanti. Otanto. No, it's Ohtani. Anyway, Shohei Ohtani last night put on a show, and no Joe Madden. See, so I love Joe Madden. I mean, obviously, I talk about it all the time. The 2016 team, that whole team has a special place in my heart. I love Joe Madden. I love him as a manager. I think he's a player's manager. I think he's going to win wherever he goes. The one knock I've always had on him is how poorly he handles a pitching staff. He either takes a guy out too soon or takes a guy out too late. That being said, last night was not one of those times. I 100% agree with the decision to let Ohtani go in there and try to work his way out of trouble. He deserved the chance to work his way out of trouble and earn the victory in that game. So I don't have a problem with him leaving Ohtani in that spot, and Ohtani performed in that spot. He struck the guy out. His catcher just dropped the third strike and then threw the ball into right field.
That was not a good pitch.
No, it was not a horrible pitch. It hit the catcher right in the glove, and the catcher dropped it, and then throws the ball into right field. So I just, it's not, I don't have a problem with last night the way he left him in. And trust me, again, I think that there are a lot of times where Joe Madden either leaves a guy in too long or takes a guy out too early. I've never liked the way he manages a pitching staff. But last night, I was absolutely positively okay with everything that he did.
What?
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I don't necessarily think you can blame him for that. Otani's had some injury issues as it is. I don't think it's Joe Madden's fault that you keep a guy in for a little bit longer and he gets hurt now. I mean, it's tough what he's doing. I mean, he's also batting second. It's tough to go bat like he is, as well as go out there and pitch and keep it up at throwing 100 mile an hour. I mean that's crazy fast. We don't see that very often, even in the MLB. It's a hard thing to do is throw 100 mile an hour. So I don't think it's Joe Madden's fault at all. No.
So it's the reason why I brought this up is because like I was watching the game as well during the show. Like I had it playing in the background, and there was an interview with Joe Madden right before the start of like all this started happening. Right, like at the start of the fifth inning, they had an interview, and Joe Madden basically said, "Hey." He is getting like he is starting to reach his ceiling because they have a pitch count on him. They don't want him throwing like 80 some pitches like in a game. Like I don't know what the know what the number is. I'm just throwing a number out there. So like let's say it's 80 some pitches and like he was sitting at like 75 or something. But with that being said, Madden kind of shot himself in the foot because he sat there on national TV saying he is getting ready to pull him out because he is getting ready to reach his ceiling on the pitch max. Next day, he walks a guy. Then a guy gets a hit, and then another walk, and then he strikes a guy out, and then a wild pitch, and and you could tell every time the cameras would pan over to the bullpen, those pitchers, those relief pitchers getting ready to come into the game, they were getting upset because like there's like, hey, you were going to put us in a bad situation, like bases loaded, 0 outs, and you want us to come bail you out, and like why put your relief pitchers in that early bad situation?
He pitched his way out of it though. I mean, the guy had 2 outs. And then he struck the guy out, and the catcher dropped the ball. It wasn't even a wild pitch. It was a dropped third strike. It wasn't even the pitcher's fault. That's on the catcher. When it's labeled a dropped ball or a passed ball, that's on the catcher. And that last night, that's what it was. It was on the catcher. It was a very catchable strike 3, and the catcher got distracted by the hitter swinging or something and just dropped the ball. And then threw the ball in the right field. Like he pitched his way out of trouble. It wasn't like, he continued to walk guys or allowed a double in the gap or anything like that. He struck the guy out, and then his catcher allowed the game to get tied by throwing the ball away and dropping strike 3.
So let me ask you this question: like you have a second on runner and third, and you quote drop a third strike, meaning like it kind of goes past and rolls halfway back to the backstop there. Would you rather have the catcher just ate it there?
No, you got to try to get that third out. Sorry, you saw me pump my fist there. Wilson Contreras just hit a 2-run bomb to put the Cubs up 2-0. Take that, Torrey Anderson. But anyway, no, I would rather my guy go ahead and throw the ball down to first, but I'd rather him make a good throw. I mean, that's what I'd like. I want him to make a good throw. If you feel like you can't make a good throw or you feel like the runner's going to beat you out at first, then sure, hang on to the ball and keep that tying run at third base and give your, because at that point a relief pitcher is going to come in, give that relief pitcher a chance to keep your team up by 1. So I just, again, I don't have a problem with leaving Shohei Ohtani in because not only has Shohei Ohtani had a series of injuries over his career so far, but he also deserved the right to earn that win himself. And not a no decision. Like he ended up getting a no decision because he leaves the game with the game tied. But he has the opportunity to give himself the position to win that game, and he pitched well enough to do so.
So, Wyatt, let me ask you this question here. Let's say he has a season-ending injury, maybe not a season injury, but he's off for like 15 days for a sprained ankle on that play at the plate. would we be speaking a different tone right now?
Yeah, I think definitely because it wouldn't involve the arm, of course. I think that with pitching that's where it takes its toll. So of course I think it would be something different. My question that I had for Combs though, I know you're saying it's not Madden's fault. So if I know your one knack on Madden is that he has trouble, watching over the pitching staff. If he knows that, is there some kind of a game manager that he can hire to watch over that? And if so,
Well,
who would
yeah,
that be?
that's what your bench coach is for. You always have your bench coach, and your bench coach is like your right hand man. He's the one that's in your ear, and then you also have the pitching coach. If the pitching coach tells you, "Hey, look, I'm watching, Ohtani. He looks gassed," then yeah, it's on you to go there. But I don't think that that's what happened, because if that happens, I think Joe Madden takes him out of the game. I think the pitching coach probably went to Madden and said, "Hey, give him one more. I think he'll be all right to go one more," because he did have 2 outs in the inning. You want to give your pitcher, and I know this is an old school mentality because that's really not the way the game is played anymore. Your pitchers go 5 innings and that's it, and then get them out of there and let your bullpens work. But it's always been that way. Your starting pitcher, if he is in a spot to get a win, you allow him that opportunity. And that's what you want from your guys. That's what you want from the ace of your staff. That's what you want from Shohei Ohtani, who is supposed to be like this two-way stud, and he is a two-way stud. But this is kind of like a make or break year for that. It's a make or break year for whether or not he's going to be that two-way guy, because if he goes and gets hurt again, which he kind of got hurt yesterday, but they said he'll be fine. But if he gets hurt again and misses some serious time, I think they have a decision to make on whether or not they even allow him to keep being a two-way player. So absolutely, I have no problem with leaving him in there. If he did pitch out of that inning. Now, say the catcher hangs on to that ball, Shohei Ohtani pitches out of it, his confidence is here. And that's where you want him. Now, his confidence should still be here because he did technically pitch out of that jam. His catcher just, made 2 errors on the same play.
Yeah, so, if, let's say he does get hurt again and misses an extensive amount of time, he's an incredible batter. He's also, he's incredible on the mound. He's also incredible at the plate. Where do you think that they will stick him? Do you think they'll keep him at full-time pitching, or do you think this is possibly a DH situation?
He's a good enough outfielder. He's got a very strong arm.
Or does it depend on the injury? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the injury, it depends on, where he's, what they're comfortable with having him do, what they have in their, outfield right now. I mean, there's a plethora of places you could keep him. I think that if he has another arm or shoulder injury, you have to consider not letting him pitch anymore.